Everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Lucid's 2022 Tournament Game 4, where we are playing Nazca. This is turn 42. And yeah, a lot of stuff to jump into. Let's go ahead and see how this goes, shall we? We have incoming trade, 2 Death Gems from Vanheim, the continuation of the payoff. So, we actually are building quite a bit of a death bank at this point. The more and more I think about it, the more and more the idea of going for like a Well of Misery really kind of like appeals to me. Well of Misery, I think, is a relatively innocuous global for a lot of people, especially since it boosts the world's income by 10%. So most people are like, oh yeah, yay, 10% income, woo, right? And death is exceedingly good for us. So I think people get more focused on things like, obviously, Arcane Nexus, or even things like Maelstrom, or Galegate, or Eternal Pyre, because those can lead to... Maelstrom just gives you a shit ton of gems, right? And can get you Astral Pearls, right? Which is a very big deal. Obviously, Arcane Nexus is the king of kings. Eternal Pyre, though, and Galegate get you into some really nasty stuff, right? Eternal Pyre means you can do some crazy shit with Firecasters, Fire Summoning, or you can just unload with Flames from the Sky constantly, which is a big pain in the ass in the late game. But then things like Galegate let you put up like Dark Skies and things like that, which is really difficult to deal with. So I think a lot of people are like, yeah, Well of Misery, whatever. Have your Well of Misery. We don't give a shit, right? So hopefully if we go that route, right, we won't be a focus for that situation until it's too late. Anyways, moving on. We've got a Research Construction 4. Boom! This is good for us. This is... There's a couple different things, obviously, right? Construction 4 gets us a lot of decent construction items, but what we're really going for here is a Bloodstone so that we can go for Riches from Beneath. So, we also have some site searching. We did a Harspex, Augury, found nothing, Dark Knowledge, found nothing, and Arcane Probing, found nothing. Unfortunate. We are hoping, right, to get really good responses from our site searching. We want to have a breakout economy in something, right? Whether that be death, preferably death or Astral Pearls, right? But really anything to be kind of like this standout, oh yeah, we got a shit ton of this gem. Cool, great. We can make something out of that. Let's do it. But so far, no bueno. We've got a dire portent. All light from the night sky shines down upon Caps Lock, the Harvester, Master of Terror, the self-created master, when he sits on his throne. What a truly magnificent sight for the entire world to behold. It takes no oracle to interpret this as a sign of true divinity. This is not one of the more potent magic rituals, but the astral power harvested from the night sky will surely be used against you. This is Stellar Focus. And I've actually been waiting for Pelagia to put this up, truth be told, because to me, the kind of like natural progression for Pelagia is conquer underwater opponents, put up Stellar Focus, research what you need up to Arcane Nexus, put up Arcane Nexus, win the game, right? Right? Like, go fucking ham, win the game. But in point of fact, this is Arcocephale putting up Stellar Focus. So, very cool, very interesting from Arco. The Arco player I've actually been having a fair amount of conversations with. Kind of, they're my point of contact on the West Coast. So, and we've done some trading back and forth. They're a pretty, I think, a fun player. Communicative, which is always enjoyable, so I've been having a good time with them. And from what I've heard, they're doing well, right? Like, they haven't been winning just out and out in their wars, but they're scripting well, they're creative, they're responding well to certain threats, etc., etc. So this is interesting to see. Very excited to see what becomes of this. Okay, we've got some battles. Again, we will do the thing where we watch our battles first and then watch other battles. I will try not to forget this time. We have attacked in Ironwood Forest. This is just counter raid. We've got a Huron Priest over here. Let's see if we get unfortunate. You can see I did actually rescript here to not be concerned about defensive buffs and just go for Horde of Skeletons to try to make sure that we overwhelmed the enemy. So that worked. Same thing in Forest of Pines. Shouldn't be an issue. Vanheim is just putting in 1 PD here. So the risk is, does our commander get sniped, basically? And this current case was no. We attack in Pavonia. Actually, let's go ahead and watch this. We'll just watch straight down the line this time. Ashdod attacks Vanheim in Pavonia, where we lost last time. We lost against this 6 PD. I'm assuming he's going to win very handily. Maybe lose like 1 long dead or something like that, but not much. And this, I think, is one of those ones where we're like, yes, yes. They actually lost 3 long dead and 1 long dead refite. So we don't care about that, though, because we care that this mage is unprotected. Even Hatenruna can kill an unprotected, unthugged Emite, right? Like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Easy peasy. And in point of fact, we kill these Refites pretty easily as well. We've got bludgeoning, relatively high damage bludgeoning weapons in these maces. Easy peasy. 6 Hatenruna, killed an Emite, 125 gold, and importantly, killed some of these long dead Refites. We want to diminish the amount of resources that Ashdod has. We do not want them getting back in the game. Very, very important. We witness Vanheim attacking Jotunheim in Mag. So let's see how this goes. I'm very interested to see what goes on between these two players, because I think they're both very good. The Vanheim player is Fulik. I don't 100% know how to pronounce their name, but that's how I've been pronouncing their name. And then the Jotunheim player is Grippa. So always interesting to see good players and well-known players and good well-known players go off against each other. We got a Windmaster. Looks like this is going to be some air elemental stuff versus a stack. And this honestly just looks immediately like uh-oh for Vanheim, because my assumption is, yeah, this air elemental is going to do fine against 6 PD, but it is not going to do fine against all of this. Where is it going to drop? It actually dropped into the wolves. Wow. And they just chop it down. So many attacks, right? Even though it's ethereal, right? There's so many attacks per square coming out because of the spear and the bites, right? That this air elemental does get kind of just destroyed immediately. And this Windmaster's going to die for it. So that is unfortunate. A 105 gold mage, 2 air gems, lost 1 wolf rider. So cool. Cool. We get attacked in Royal Green, right? This is Vanheim just continuing to raid around at us. This was, again, these are all pre-determined locations. Basically, and Vanheim has been a great sport about this. They could have been very much like, we'll raid wherever the fuck we want, but they're letting me guide them through my lands to avoid specific locations, avoid places that I'm patrolling in, or avoid places where I have high PD, or avoid places where I'm just like, I don't want you to take this fucking province for a turn, right? So they've been very, very polite about that. Very thankful for that. And then we have a battle in Dutrandine Expanse. We are trying to take the fortress. Let's see what we are actually up against. So this is an actual army for us. This is not really an army for turn 42, right? But for us, it's an actual army. We have a single Huron Priest here. We have an Inca here. Inca's here primarily just for blessing. Huron Priest is here to do Strength of Giants. Bunch of Condors, some Condor Warriors, some Sun Guard, bunch of Hatenruna. versus basically nothing. So we've got a single Rephite Sage, Astral 2, and a single Wolf Tribe Shaman, Nature 1. So let's see what we got going on. Body Ethereal. Protection. Interesting. Horror Mark? Oh no! Did he Horror Mark my Inca? Is that what happened? Didn't get my Inca. Didn't get my Huron Priest. Is it this one? Oh, he's horror marking my condors. Interesting. That's funny. Alright then. I didn't really consider horror marking my condors. Alright. A small thing in the long run. More concerning is the opportunity of these. I actually think the archers from Ashdod are really, really potent. These guys are pretty scary. It's just, if only you could get them in a less armored variant. They take so many resources from that big chainmail hauberk or scale hauberk. I think it's scale. I mean, I could just click, right? Full scale, yeah. So, very, very, very high resources, I believe, for recruiting those guys. And we are having a hell of a time trying to actually finish off. Oh my god. Jeez. That was not, that wasn't the greatest from us. We lost 1 Alkak Runa Axeman and 5 Hatan Runa. Killed a Rephite Sage and Wolf Tribe Shaman. And very importantly, took a fort, right? This is only our 4th fort. 2 of the 4 forts that we have taken from other players. This is the way. This is how we truly acquire things. Alright, so that's battles for the turn. Battles versus Vanheim, 2 wins, 1 loss. Versus Ashdod, 2 wins and 0 losses. Significantly better turn this time around than last time. So that's cool. Next up, we have some events. We have, I believe, in Miratrand, nice, a hidden laboratory has been found and claimed in your name. We got a lab. Really, I don't know that we really care about a lab in that location, unfortunately, but we did get some gems out of it and a great sword of sharpness, so that's cool. In Nazca, a handful of gems have been found in the shards of a broken mirror. Got some air gems, very sweet. And in Neefel, the summer is unusually hot, and the ashes of a burning bush, a small amount of gems were found. Awesome. Okay, so events for the turn: 0 negative and 3 positive. In Mirror Trend, we got a lab, we got fire +2, air +5, astral +3, death +5, nature +5, blood +1, and a great sword of sharpness. So that's a pretty nice little turn for gems. What is that? How many? We got 15, 20, 21 gems in that turn. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Pretty high, gem amounts from this Mirror Trend one. So pretty happy about that. Very cool. Yeah, that's it for events from the previous turn. Let's talk about what we are doing this actual turn. Pressure increases, right? We have spoken to Vanheim. They're gonna start raiding around in a couple of different territories. Basically, we're moving from like 2-ish raids to 1-ish raid a turn. They want to focus less force against me. They want to be able to focus more force against their actual enemies. We can see they have been raiding around in Ulmish territory, and that they have been fighting back and forth with Jotunheim. We're going to talk more about this here in a second, I think. But for now, let's just talk about specifically what we're doing. Obviously, we're going to be counter-raiding. We are heading back into Underhome to try to take that back. And we are going to be trying to we are going to try to take a mule, right? So we're sending in a stack of Haten Runa there, and we're targeting both Mushwood and Klon. Mushwood is dangerous, right? Mushwood is right next to Ashdod's capital, but we're just sending in Haten Runa. Again, if we lose every single one of these Haten Runa, we don't particularly care. I am actually a little more concerned, in point of fact, that we're going to lose less, that we're going to lose the stack in Mushwood, and more that we're going to lose the stack in Klon, because I'm pretty sure these troglodytes are going to fuck up these Haten Runa. The hope, though, troglodytes don't have very much, if any, armor, right? They have a lot of health, but they rely on trampling the shit out of their enemies. The thing about Haten Runa is there's only 2 per square for Haten Runa because they're size 3 flyers. So the troglodytes have less, rather than having 3 or even 4, right, or more individuals in a square for the troglodytes to trample, there's only 2. So I'm hoping that it's kind of like a DPS race, and the Haten Runa can actually burst the troglodytes down on the drop rather than the troglodytes bursting them down. I really don't know, though. I think this is very likely that we're gonna get toasted here. So we'll see. But as far as like taking Underhome back, we're sending in more Supayas there. So I think we'll take Underhome back. I think we'll take Amul, and I think we'll be successful in Mushwood. We'll be successful, I think, if we don't run into Ashdod. And Klon, I think, is rolling the dice. I don't know if Pelagia is going to go for Klon. I thought they were going to go for Klon last turn, but they didn't seem to do that. So I'm not sure how that is going to go. Let's talk about actual mechanical things for the turn. We have 1 building going up this turn, 1 temple in Dutrandine. So this is somewhat dicey. I did kind of like hem and haw about whether or not I actually wanted to do this, right? One of the deciding factors for why I decided to go ahead and put a temple down in Dutrandine, there's a couple of deciding factors. The first one is that this fucking province is actually stupidly good for us because it has a copper mine, right? It has the Whirlwind of Cyclone, which is 4 fucking air gems, right? Actually, I should have these in a I should report these. I should totally report these. Well, I shouldn't. Well, I say that. The Whirlwind of Cyclone and the Enchanted Field really isn't special sites reportable, but I should report the copper mine. I don't know. Yeah, I've been trying to do that, haven't I? Okay, here. Let me make an additional situation. Special sites. We've got a copper mine. We're not going to put the other things because the other things are specifically... they're just gem sites. I don't care about the 15 supply points. So, this is a really good province for us, period, from a gem income, because 4 air gems is over half of our fucking income. That is a big, big deal for us, right? We are very, very, very happy to have this. The other thing is actually, because this is a mountain, this place has a shit ton of resources. And if we're going to be throwing up riches from beneath, resources are great because resources are more money. The only problem with riches from beneath is it only really works. Oh, also a copper mine, right? Copper mine is more money. But that only really works in your dominion. Our dominion is actually very, very small right now, and in point of fact, we're having issues spreading our dominion to the southern tip. So, while it is somewhat dicey, while Ashdod could just run at us and we could lose this temple, I decided to just gamble, right? And say, hey, I'm going to spend money that I don't really have here, and we're going to put down a temple because I'm hoping it's going to spread our dominion quicker, and we're going to We're going to come out of this in the long run better because, right, we decided to take this gamble and spread our dominion and get more out of this situation, right? Oh, let me go ahead and special sites copper mine. Okay, so I have that on the list. And then we're going to talk about the other thing is the flip side of this is we have very little income. Very, very little income. So, we didn't really get a gold event this turn, which means the only recruitment we have is a single Huron priest. And that is abysmal. That is incredibly indicative of the issue that we have right now. We have no economy. We have to do things. We have to make these plays for, like, Riches from Beneath. We have to make these plays for, like, Blood Fecundity. We have to make these plays for territory. Because if we don't, we can't even afford to put up mages. If we don't, we're gonna have to start looking into the idea of, like, twice spawning mages, killing off actual like because here's the thing, right? This Malqui priest is fucking expensive. Whereas a twice born Koya, right? Koya 130 gold. Twice born Koya 0 gold, right? Like, we can start twice spawning things and killing them just to try to keep our income down. Now that's always been an option, and we might actually look into twice spawning, and I think there is actually, in the mid to late game, there is definitely an argument. Koyas are amazing casters, but they're threats to your Incas, right? So getting a Koya killed means losing an Inca as well, and that can fuck you up. So I absolutely think that there is a argument to twice spawn a bunch of Koyas, get them killed, and then use the Koya whites as combat casters to do different things with. Teleport around, thug, etc., etc. In point of fact, they're amazing thugs. They have the ability to teleport with a single booster item. They have earth paths so that they can buff themselves up. They have death paths so they can do things like invulnerability or soul vortex very easily with, like, a gem or a booster. They're really potentially nice thugs and combat casters. So that's definitely something that we are interested in. But again, we kind of want to go that route of Well of Misery. So the idea now is like, I don't want to use any death gems until we get Well of Misery up potentially. So that's going on. We have really bad income issues right now. That is a major focus of what we're trying to do. Let's talk about Nazcan recruits. We've got 32 Haten Runa this turn, 14 more Long Dead Warriors, and 2 more Supaya. Continuing on in that route. People might ask, I talked about this previously, right? We have another Royal Malqui. Why are we not using this Royal Malqui to do more Supaya? That is absolutely an argument, and in fairness, might be the actual choice. But right now, I am valuing this 26 research per turn as more important than the 2 Supayas we would get every turn. This is a greed play, right? Supayas, 2 Supayas every turn, getting to 4 Supayas a turn means that after 10 turns, we have 40 Supayas. Cool, great, fantastic. That could absolutely win us a battle, right? Versus 26 research every turn is 260 more research in 10 turns, which means we could be that much further into the research goals that we have. That could be pushing us over the line for a 6 or a 7 that we feel like we really need in 10 turns. I don't know that that's the proper choice, right? This is a gamble, right? Again, I think this is me being greed going for research rather than going for combat power at this current point in time. Because I think we've kind of consigned ourselves to that idea of, if we get attacked in the next 15, 20 turns, we're probably dead anyways. So let's be as greedy as we can be and try to get as far as we can in that next 15, 20 turns, and then we see what can we do, right? So, aside from Nazcan's special recruits, we've got regular special recruits, 3 wolves. Continuing on there, we will have 50,000 wolves eventually. And what else do we have? Is this the turn? No, this is not the turn. We have trying to make sure I marked everything. I've been having some issues here lately with the notes that I've been taking, so I'm trying to make sure I'm really prepared. Rituals for the turn. We are cutting back on our rituals just slightly. We're doing 1 arcane probing, 1 dark knowledge, and 1 horror specs. We are not doing an augury this turn because of something I'm going to talk about here in a second. Basically, our augury casters are... No, they're not. I should be doing an augury this turn. I don't know why I'm not actually doing an augury this turn. That was just an oversight, is what it is. But yeah. And then I think... I don't know if we've done any forging this entire game. It might be turn 42, and I don't know that we did any forge. You know what? I think we did do some forging. I think we forged some rings of fire protection or whatever ourselves. But I think that was during the block of missing turns, so I don't know. But anyways, I think definitely first forging that really matters, 1 bloodstone. So this is... hopefully the start of a lot more forging to come. This bloodstone, next turn, we should have enough earth gems to turn around and immediately cast Riches from Beneath. There are 3 open slots. The hope is that we're just not going to lose out on any of that. Immediately throw up Riches from Beneath and start benefiting. Again, I will show calculations on the turn that I actually do it, if it comes to pass, hoping it should come to pass, right? But I've been kind of like calculating as the turns go by about what is this going to give us, and it's about double the amount of income that we have. So definitely worthwhile. It's more if we can get these fucking gold mines, this gold mine in. If we can get our Dominion pressed, right? If we can get our Dominion spread to some of these higher resource areas, because not only is Austin Glen a gold mine, right? But it's also got 60 resources. It's a mountain, right? Baral has 146 resources because it's a mountain plains, right? So absolutely, there are a number of these locations that have decent-ish resources that we could make a fair amount off of if we can get that going. So fingers crossed there. And I think that is really it for the reportable mechanical information. Now I'm gonna address something that might be an elephant in the room. And this is something that has been going on in the background for quite a bit of time, and that is thrones. So we've had the Coast Guard going for probably about 10 turns now, and the topic of the Coast Guards has been thrones over and over and over again. Now there are 3 thrones on the eastern coast that are not taken, and there's still a throne on the western coast that has not been taken. These thrones are all in Pelagia's threat range, but fortunately for us, a lot of these thrones are relatively difficult. This is a monolith throne. It is actually very, very dangerous, pretty difficult to take. This is a massive amount of undead and has a lich. This is actually not that difficult to take, but does require a sizable force to come on land, right? And then this is actually a Netter of Kings with a bunch of decent-ish units. Fire snakes can be very difficult to deal with if you don't have the right situation. A lot of heavy cav, fair amount of claymen. However, this is the easiest one for us that we are in range of. And why is it easy-ish for us? Well, because a lot of the concern here is the fire snakes and the fact that the Netter of Kings can do things like fire elementals. We have fire 10 on our bless. So we are sending a huge stack with Pachacuti, fully filled out, 200 units, 27 supayas, basically the amount that I felt I could spare to not go into Underhome, right? And we are heading towards Olifa, right? We're not going to be able to make it in a single turn because of the river and the mountain and everything like that, so it's going to take us an additional turn. But when we get there, next turn, we are going to be throwing a big stack at Olifa, And we're actually also going to be throwing this stack probably as well. All of these units will have 10 fire resistance. They will all have the, thunder weapon scenario. We should be able to do a shit ton of damage to the entire army here on the drop, right? With 200 and, 300 units. We might leave the Haten Runa behind, I'm not sure. But with 300 units, we should be able to envelop most of the army at Olifa. We should be relatively resistant to the fire that's going to come out of there. And we should be able to kill this big stack. And claim, hopefully, our first throne. But this does kind of put eyes on us from Pelagia, potentially. So, we're going to have to see how that goes. I've also been thinking about this in the last several turns. I've been considering throwing out Eyes of the Condor. Eyes of the Condor. It is a scrying spell. And in point of fact, I probably should have scryed these thrones, both this one in Olifa and this one in the Forgotten Woods more recently. Even this one in Satala, right? Like, I should have scryed them just to know what they are. That would have been the actual move to make. But I've kind of had this kind of like, oh, I want to keep the mystique. It's fun to kind of like be excited. If I had scryed them in the past 10 turns, I might have been like, oh, here's the Throne of Gaia. We absolutely need to go prioritize that and get that. Everything else can wait, right? So, fingers crossed. We'll see. We'll see what we get. I think getting the Throne of Gaia would be obviously amazing, but I kind of have a suspicion that that's over here. But we'll see. Who knows? I don't know. Fingers crossed, right? Like, I think fingers crossed. I think this is the move that we need to make. I think we'll do fine in Olifa. It's Forgotten Woods that I'm way, way more concerned about. The monolith and the number of Watchers that are here kind of make it to where I don't know that I can brute force this as well as I can in Olifa. So we'll see how it goes. Anyways, next couple turns, very excited about, because we should be hopefully getting up riches from beneath. We should hopefully be getting our first throne. Maybe that's a really big, important thing for us, depending on which throne it is. We could be seeing, we should be getting more territory. We could be seeing, hopefully, a big turn in the next coming turns as we kind of like really expand out and hopefully gain the benefits of this horrible betrayal back alley deal that we have made with Vanheim. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping that at the end of the day, everything works out for us and for our allies, right? Like, I still want our allies to win. I want Ulm. Oh, I thought I think I was going to talk about this. Here's a concern from me. I want Ulm and Jotunheim to win, right? I want them, because Vanheim scares me, right? Like, both the nation and the player. They scare me. I would much rather try to deal with Ulm in the mid to late game. Maybe not Jotunheim in the mid to late game. Jotunheim also scares me in the late game. But Van is a scary nation, and the player's a scary player as well, right? Like, I hope Ulm and Jotunheim do well. But you may have noticed, right? I have a lot of scouts in Vanheim territory. I'm not really seeing any attacks from Ulm on Vanheim territory. I am seeing Ulm go into Ashdod territory. I am somewhat concerned. I am somewhat concerned that Ulm maybe did the same thing that I did. And what we might end up doing is we might end up just taking Ashdod, and then it's Jotunheim versus Vanheim. And I think Jotunheim versus Vanheim is actually a good matchup for Jotunheim in some ways, right? But it is a Jotunheim that had been in a bloody war for a long time and not gained a lot out of it, versus a Vanheim who had been in a very one-sided war and gained a lot out of it. So, while I don't think the nations are necessarily horrible matchups, and I think the players are both on the same skill level, I think that Vanheim in this instance has the advantage because they have had the better games so far. I'm hoping I'm incorrect. I'm hoping that that Ulm has just been having to counter raid and hasn't been able to throw together. Because, like, at this point, Ulm's right here, right? I kind of expected, this is like turn 40, 41, 43. This is turn 3 of the war, right? I kind of expected Ulm to have a big stack on, like, one of these border forts. Maybe Ulm has been attacked in kind of like the more Ulmish heartland. But I kind of have more of a suspicion that maybe Ulm hasn't made a deal, but maybe they just don't care to really fight Vanheim, and they care more to try to take Ashdod. I'm hoping that's not the case, because I'm still, again, my back alley plan is still that idea of, in a perfect world, Ulm and I take Ashdod's lands, Jotunheim and Ulm defeat Vanheim, and maybe I'm like, oh, I take this border province or this border province from Vanheim. Not necessarily to even, like, get myself super big or bigger, right? But more to be like, I'm contributing, I'm totally helping, so that my betrayal goes unfounded. We'll see how it goes. Anyways, that's going to be it for the turn. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.